and welcome back to The Light Speakers, a novel by Tammy Hedge, available now on Amazon in both paperback and on Kindle. We've almost got all the players on the field here, so let's delve into Chapter 4, On the Road. The next morning they left just as the sun was rising. No one had seen them leave. They were now on their own. As they reached the edge of the forest, they stopped for a moment and looked back, each lost in their own thoughts. Monica looked at Cora. There was a tear on her cheek. "It's hard to leave them, I know, but they'll be safer without us," he said. She nodded in agreement and took his hand. "I'm just thankful we have each other," she said quietly. The road was deserted for a long time. It seemed that they were the only two people in the world. They walked along silently for many miles. Cora wondered at this world outside the forest. She felt exposed out here in the open. She realized now how cocooned she had been under the expansive canopy of her trees. The farther they walked, the fewer trees were to be found. There were bushes and wildflowers, but even they began to disappear as they walked on. They had chosen a road that would wind around any villages without having to walk through them. The fewer people they came in contact with, the better. This open farmland would be safer to travel through. As they got closer to their destination, the road slowly came to life with travelers, and they began to see farmers along the side going about their daily tasks. They spoke to no one. Sometimes they would return a smile or a wave to the people they passed, but they knew it was safer to keep to themselves. On the outskirts of the city, the road became more and more crowded. Merchants were going about their business, and everywhere people were talking and bustling about. Monica heard Cora's thoughts. The elders were right. It would be easy to stay anonymous among so many people. Look, they don't even notice things that are happening around them. He squeezed her hand to let her know that he heard her and agreed. She smiled a little. Monica thought how beautiful she looked with her eyes wide and excited. He realized suddenly that Cora had never been outside their insulated world of forest and temple. At least he was raised in a village for the start of his life. He was aware of the dangers that could be found amongst so many people. He knew he was seeing the situation much differently. His eyes were seeing the poor child stealing a few apples when the merchant's back was turned. He could hear the merchant thinking about how much he was overcharging the woman he was haggling with, and how delighted he was to be cheating her with inferior quality material. He could hear the little girl screaming silently that she had been beaten by her drunken father the night before. So many people were a nightmare to him. He was accomplished now at not listening, but with so many to tune out, he was overwhelmed with the noise. He tried to focus only on Cora's thoughts. She was delighting in the colors and the sounds and the bustle around her. She was admiring a woman's hat. She was wondering what that strange food tasted like. She couldn't understand how people could be so happy without any trees around them. Where were all the animals? How did that strange machine work? Monica could hear it all. He motioned to her that they needed to slip out of the main street and gently led her to a quiet alleyway. "We need to find the library," he said. "I have no idea where it could be. This is going to take forever." Cora looked around the quiet side street. It was not very clean. And why were those big rotting crates heaped with spoiling food? Didn't people here know how much they were wasting? Then she heard a little voice. "Are you lost?" squeaked the tiny voice. Cora looked down and saw the biggest mouse that she'd ever seen. "Yes, little friend, we are. Would you happen to know where we could find the library?" she asked. "What's a library?" asked the rat. "It's a building with lots of books inside." "What is a book?" "It's a lot of paper with writing on it, held together by a thick outer cover," she said patiently. "Oh," said the rat, "I've seen those." "Do you know where there's a building that holds thousands of these books?" "Oh, yes, it's not far from here. And papers are quite handy when you need to line your nest. Do you need to line your nest?" "No, little friend. We need to read the words."
Oh, well, to each their own. If you follow me, I'll take you there.
Thank you so much, little friend. It's so kind of you to take time out of your day to help us. Cora explained to Monica that the rat was going to lead them to the library, and off they set. The rat took them through many back alleys and quiet streets until they came to the back of the biggest building they had ever seen.
This is the place,
announced their little friend. Cora thanked him for all his help and took a thick slab of bread from her bread bag. This is for you, she said. We really appreciate all the trouble you've taken to help us.
Anytime,
said the rat, and he waved goodbye as he sat down to enjoy his feast. Cora and Monico headed to the front of the building. As they entered the wide double doors, Cora was amazed. They stepped into the biggest room she had ever been in. It was so quiet, and yet there were so many people wandering about. As she continued to wonder, her eyes fell upon the walls. There was nothing but books for as far as she could see. She suddenly felt overwhelmed by the whole task. How would they ever find what they were looking for? This could take the rest of their lives. Don't worry, said Monica. We will ask for help. He led her to an enormous table with many people behind it. Monica stopped and focused on each person in turn. Cora knew he was listening to their thoughts to see who would be the safest to approach. Finally, his eyes settled on a short girl with the reddest hair Cora had ever seen. Monica smiled and nodded. That one, he decided. She's preoccupied with her own thoughts and will not pay us too much attention. They approached the girl.
Can I help you?
She asked. She didn't even look up from the book she was reading. I hope so, said Monica. We are searching for information on some objects we found. They seem to be rather valuable and ancient. Do you have any books that might help us figure out where they come from or how much they're worth? He figured that asking that way was still the truth, but would lead her to believe they were only interested in selling the objects later. She thought. Maybe deep in the stacks. Come on, follow me. The girl led them back past many shelves and up many stairs until they were so deep in the library that there were no people. No one comes up here very often, she said, so we can talk normally. We won't bother anyone up here. The books were dusty and obviously hadn't been opened in many, many years. Now, what kind of objects are we talking about? The girl asked. Cora and Monica looked at each other. Cora said in her mind, we're going to have to take the chance. One is a sword and the other is a necklace, said Monica. Let's try this. You start with that shelf, and I'll see what I can find farther back. We'll put all the books we find that might help you in a big pile on that table by the wall. Then you can take your time and check them all. The girl didn't seem to take a special interest in asking questions. She just seemed happy to be doing something helpful. That put them at ease. Thank you, said Cora. We really do appreciate your help. This place is huge. That's what I'm here for, said the girl, and off she went to another part of the stacks. Well, there's nothing to do but to just do it, said Cora. So she and Monica started reading the titles one by one. Next time, we will have Chapter 5, Arasana, when we will finally have our last player on the field. So I appreciate you stopping by and listening. And remember, The Light Speakers is now available on Amazon.com in both paperback and on Kindle. I'd love to hear what you're thinking about the story, what you're feeling about it. You can reach me at www.hedgerowart.com. That's HEDGEROWART.com, or on Facebook at Hedgerow Art. Have a great weekend.